Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit that like button as you come in, share the live, and subscribe to the channel. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Real Precious. Good evening. Happy Monday. You know, the start of a new work week, off of the weekend. I'm glad we're back. I believe we're going to have a good one this evening. We have a guest this evening. He's an author. We have a few good videos that we're going to be going over. So I'm glad you guys can make it. Definitely share the stream. Tonight's topic is, where do men learn closure? I have a few videos that I'm going to show. We're going to get into it. But again, I appreciate you guys for being here. Tarika is in the building. You guys definitely hit that like button as you come in. Subscribe to the channel. Share the live. Share the live. Tonight's men's night on Monday. We always have the men on Monday to get the men's perspective. So definitely hit the like button as you come in. We got Sean in the panel in the chat. God happened to me. Thank you so much for being here, love. I see Rolande. Is it Rolande? Rolande? Rolande. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Quincy, I see you in the chat. Good evening, good people. Okay, Jeffrey, I see you in the chat. Good evening, Sister Precious. The chat and the mods, and blessing to be here. And as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, we're going to get into it. And before we do, I do want to introduce the panel. So we have my good old co-host, the actual King Smith. How are you this evening, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fine watching the Jets get beat up on Monday Night Football.
Ooh.
But I'm alive. I'm here. Thanks for having me.
No, that's right. Well, thanks for being here. Always good to have you. Sean, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. What's going down? So Jets without Aaron Rodgers or Jets with Aaron Rodgers?
Jets without Aaron Rodgers. He is out.
Makes sense now.
And we have a special guest this evening, Quran Wages. Thank you so much for being here. He is the author of Should You Apply Marriage Rules in Dating? So thank you so much for being here, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Peace.
Good, good, good. All right, so we're gonna get into. We have an icebreaker. It's a video that was sent to me earlier, and want to get you guys' perspective on it.
15 minutes until boarding starts.
Now, you guys might have to mute in between just because of the feedback.
Did a husband cross the line when he left his wife at the airport? The husband explained they had about 15 minutes until boarding started, and his wife insisted on going to Starbucks, which was on a different terminal. He told her she didn't have time, but she didn't listen. He waited as long as possible, but when the gate agent was about to close the door, he decided to get on the plane, and the wife did not make the connection.
Yeah, throw the whole wife away. First of all, he was going to visit his daughter. So when the wife decided to go to another terminal with 15 minutes to board the plane, she made him make a choice between her and his daughter. There was just a trip planned before. She overslept, so they already missed the flight. So this is the second time that they're going to try to see his daughter. So when she decided that she was going to delay or just take her sweet time like the plane was supposed to wait for her, then he did the right thing and he got his butt on that plane to go see his daughter.
Whoa. Whoa. I can't hear y'all. Oh, I hear y'all now.
So what's your thoughts, Karan?
Wait, I can't hear the other people there. Precious,
Well, we ain't
that's the name,
saying
right?
nothing. We just waiting for you. We're giving you the.
I actually was on mute.
Until I heard, this is why we gotta wait to hear more of the story. Because at first I was going, nah, he shouldn't have left his wife. Until I heard it the second time, until I heard it was 15 minutes before, until I heard that he's going to see his daughter. And this is something where the communication gap is something wrong, because he clearly they got the flight, they got the ticket, so it's clearly known that we're going somewhere. And Starbucks, for you to go with 15 minutes left in another terminal, that's absolutely disrespectful and to certain degrees. It's like, I don't understand. Why would you do that? Well, you know you can ready to board the flight. I just don't understand that. It's miscommunication there somewhere. I couldn't even be with somebody like that. I couldn't even understand what her mindset would be. What's her thought process to even do that?
Okay.
I couldn't have said it better, because boy, I travel a lot, and that would just be something definitively that would just have to happen. And whoever's with me should understand that. Because if Starbucks is that important to you, to be able to go to wherever, Timbuktu, deal with it. But she probably wanted to be left there. She probably didn't want to go.
That's probably, because that's a better logic. I'd rather take that as a logical answer than just being messy like that. That don't make no kind of sense. 15 minutes before boarding, you gonna go to another terminal? Absolutely not.
Now, I would have loved if we played just the first part of the video and did not give the additional context to the rest of it, because no matter the gender, no matter the additional context, I think that if your priorities are messed up to where person A is telling you, hey, we got to be boarding in 15 minutes, the gate's this way, and person B goes, yeah, but I really need to get that cafe mocha latte grande extra whip in the terminal down there, and you're thinking that you're going to make it down and back. To me, that's just like, nah, if you're not listening to me or to person A saying reasonably that's not going to work out, and you still choose to do it, then I don't understand why we're together. Now, add on the fact that, okay, it seemed like this was his kid, all right, that they were going to go visit, and this person didn't, they kind of had like a laissez-faire attitude about it, like, if we make it, we make it. If we don't, no big deal. That's somebody that I'm leaving in a heartbeat. And at that point, I don't even care how they make it to me. I'm getting to my destination. I'm getting my rental or my Uber, and it's up to you to figure out how to get to me if you choose to then come at that point.
That's why my brother.
So you would just really just leave
I dip.
her?
I dip. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why my book is Don't Put Marriage Rules in Dating, because clearly some miscommunication somewhere. How could you not know that? We should be compatible enough to know that part. I shouldn't even have to tell you that as a grown
Right.
adult.
Well, I got a question. You said they were married?
I believe.
I don't-
Hold on. Let me rewind now. Let's see.
You know,
I
to
think
some
they
point,
were.
Did
I don't
a
know.
husband cross the line when he left his wife at the
Husband.
airport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So,
They married.
filed for divorce. What would be the cause?
Irreconcilable differences.
Yep. Irreconcilable differences. The default one.
Flight attendants.
But just think about this, right? Think about this, right? We're talking about one situation. Imagine all the miscommunication that's going on in that household. It has to be more to that because I don't see how you could not respect that. That's the same woman that say men don't know how to communicate and I'm not letting no man lead type of thing. That she just went and did her own thing. It's a lot off in that.
Well, it seemed, and we can only speculate. But they said that they had a flight before, she slept through it. They missed that flight, and now this. And so it seemed like he was putting his foot down and saying, "Look, I'm just going to leave you." And sometimes, as men, that's what you need to do. You need to put your foot down and say,
Absolutely.
"I'm out. I'm leaving. This is over. I'm not doing this no more. I'm not," because if not, the behavior will continue. So there may be a communication issue, but there also has to be a time where a standard is set, right? So it's like, okay,
Absolutely.
you know the plane leaving in 15 minutes. I know the plane leaving in 15 minutes. We know where we have to be in 15 minutes, and you choose to be somewhere else. So if you choose to be somewhere else, you have to then realize that in 15 minutes, you're going to get left. And that's just being an adult. So now bringing the relationship part of it. And like you said, if this is one instance in one situation, how many other situations has she tested her hand and said, "Oh no, give me another 10 or 15 minutes, I'll be ready," and it take another hour? Or how many times has maybe she canceled or just inconvenienced a situation where they both knew what the circumstances were? So like the interviewer said, throw the whole wife away. It's just like, not necessarily throw her away, but there has to be a standard. And if you're not going to follow the rules, if you're not going to, do what is expected of you, then there is a consequence to that.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
At some point, you got to say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, enough is enough. We're going to see my daughter. Not to mention, it's going to be extra fees tacked onto that one just for missing the flight, don't it? Or am I mistaken?
If she comes.
Right. That's if she actually goes. She could have went back home.
Yeah. At that point, I doubt she going, because think of this as well. When you land, now you have to, if she did decide to come afterward, you got to now plan another trip to the airport to pick her up. You have to now go away from the already planned festivities with your daughter. So now you're taking away time from spending time with your daughter, her stepdaughter, and it just becomes a real lack of accountability and disrespect to the whole situation.
Yeah,
I ain't doing all that. She gonna have to figure out her way to get to me at that point.
Yeah, it's totally inconsiderate. It's absolutely inconsiderate.
That's the perfect word.
Yeah,
Definitely.
inconsiderate. And there's a whole behavior that comes with inconsiderate people.
So what are the signs that you see of someone being inconsiderate before this actually happened, before you got to leave them? You know how Hank be like, leave their ass at the restaurant? He left her ass at the airport. So, you know, what are some behaviors that are displayed before something like this happens? Because, like I said, I don't feel like this is probably the first time this has happened. He probably just like, I'm out.
And that's what I speak about in my book about ignoring the red flags, right? Because I'm sure that there was red flags there. It's almost like a narcissistic behavior. It's almost anything of you could paint a million scenarios of somebody just thinking of himself. Like she seems like a person that just thinks about herself. Like that was inconsiderate. I was like, how? It's a lot of behaviors to that.
I agree, and those are, I mean, inconsideration is one of the red flags that we often overlook because
Absolutely.
for whatever reasons, you know, and it's very easy to identify if you're looking for it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, go ahead, Ken.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think for me, it's when you don't fully think things through to understand the consequences, and not thinking things through in this scenario was having the thought process of how realistically can you get down there and get back to make this flight if we're already here and we're going to be boarding in 15 minutes, talking about trying to get to a whole different terminal. If you can't think things through logically in a way that's not going to add additional stress to me in my life, I think you're a very inconsiderate person and I don't want you around.
Just think about this, right? When we talk about wife, we talking about my partner, and if we could call it business partners, it's a business actually, but you're my partner, like, and I'm an entrepreneur, so if I needed you as my partner for a very important meeting, I could probably miss a lifetime of finances because you inconsiderate. As my partner, I probably miss a whole $1 million deal messing with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to get to some of these comments. So Mr. Charles says, sounds like she's jealous of the daughter getting his full attention. Do you guys think that could be a factor in this?
That's far-fetched. That's a big assumption and speculation, because that we didn't even cross that relation between her and the daughter, him and the daughter. So that's I get it. We could paint that all but we'd be painting a bunch of pictures if that's the case.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
And I mean, even if it is, that's a bigger issue. That's still in consideration.
Wait, is somebody breaking up?
It was that me? I said, even if it is, that's still a bigger issue because that still starts with inconsideration to the relationship that you're supposed to have with the daughter, and my being my wife, being that's our daughter. And if you can't consider it from that standpoint, we already we're having bigger issues than the jealousy, than the inconsideration. We're having a real big problem that we got to address. Otherwise, and I hate to say it because I don't believe in divorce, but hey.
Okay. So we have God Happened to Me says, biblically, the spouse comes before children, family, and friends. The bond of the marriage is supposed to supersede all else. She also says, too, however, it is extremely disrespectful to not recognize the importance of the husband wanting to see his child and deliberately preventing that from happening. She also says, the husband is not wrong, but it does seem like way more was going on in the marriage before that. And I would venture to assume that she posted the story of being left, not the husband.
I think those are all legitimate. That first one, though, the biblical aspect of that's a difficult one to incorporate because how the first one. Yes, because yes, biblically, the spouse comes before children, but this is beyond a biblical reference. This is already, you know, we can go into some other scriptures that her actions are countering scripture. So we can't really throw in scripture conveniently.
No, but when it comes to compatibility and you meeting a mate and you you choosing somebody to be your wife or your spouse or your husband, you looking for compatibility in those areas, especially of a spiritual sense. If y'all compatible on that, then if you look for that and you look for that compatibility, it's gonna, her thought process is gonna already know not to go get that coffee.
And that and is incorporated what she says here. Let's also not forget that the woman should submit to her husband, and it doesn't appear as though she was. So that's a fact.
Yeah, and that was part of the scripture that I'm saying. If we're gonna go on scripture, she already violated scripture prior to even getting to, you know, the who you put above. So we can't conveniently use one and not. And so the point is very well taken. Yeah, she violated that portion.
Right. Marriage, Politics, and Sports says that's not a communication issue. She clearly has an issue with him sharing love with his daughter. He chose a wife poorly. We kind of addressed that a little bit already. That behavior from women is highly passive aggressive, in my opinion. I would agree with that. Because
Absolutely.
it's like 15 minutes. You know, you come on. We're all functioning, you know, thinking adults here, and you clearly just wanted to do your own thing, knowing that we had plans to be together. Mr. Charles says people make time and be attentive on what they care about, and that's a fact.
That's a fact. That right there is a fact, and it's funny because that fact right there is what I was thinking about. Like, I don't drink coffee, but what is in Starbucks?
Is it that important? Right. Like, it's not that important, you know, like to get a Starbucks. It's like, why didn't you plan ahead? Why weren't you, you know, proactive rather than being reactive, knowing that you have a flight to catch in 15 minutes? It's just, he left. And, you know, what is he going to do? Stand around while his wife wants to go get a hot beverage, you know? Jennifer O'Jenny says, sounds like someone is incredibly spoiled and possibly feeling a certain kind of way about the daughter. So it seems like, you know, the chat is saying, hey, look, the daughter is could be the cause of all of this.
You know,
All
it
right,
could be, but then again, we got some people that's smart dummies. She probably don't even know she did something wrong. It's sad to say, but some people don't even pay attention to that part of their behaviors. They don't even hold themselves accountable or responsible. They don't even know they're doing something wrong, and that's sad today. Because I come across people that have no idea that they're doing something wrong.
Woo! You want to go to the next video because that opens up a whole can
It does.
of
It does. It does. It does. Thanks for pointing that out, because that is true. A lot of people just don't know that they're doing something wrong, and the fact that he left will definitely show her. So, like I said, sometimes women, we as women need y'all to do something, you know, drastic, you know, and it shouldn't get to that point. But at the same time, it's like, you're going to learn today.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today. So
as the only woman on this panel, I just want to ask you this question before we go to the next topic. Why do y'all need something drastic to listen?
I think that's both men and women. I think we both, you know, as far as men, sometimes you guys need to be rejected, you know, in certain areas or in certain times. And as women, we need to be corrected. Right? We need to be corrected. So those are the drastic measures on both ends. Most times men need to be rejected to be corrected, and we just need to be corrected. If that makes any sense.
You know, we could throw the word insane in there. Like, people, they doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. It's like, you know, the damn stove is hot. Don't touch it. Why you keep crying over spilled milk and you the one spilling it?
Yeah.
True that.
Mr. Charles says this situation shows why you don't rush into marriage and why you have to battle, touch your partner before the war starts. And it's funny you say that, because we're actually, the videos that we're going to be showing and the things that we're going to be talking about is directly correlated with that, not rushing into marriage and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go into the next video. and we'll get you guys' perspective from that. Guys, I did drop the link. If you'd like to join, definitely do so. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel.
Think of this. There's from what I have found. Think of this. There's from what I have found, there are two different dating pools, and they don't flag or signal to each other at all. They have almost no crossover. They're not even aware of each other. There's the secure people who want that direct, human, authentic connection of we are together, we are talking, we're sharing this bond. They don't want stimulation because it feels weird. Too much stimulation up front feels weird to them. They understand that connection, so they want the right bonding experience. Then there's the insecure pool that everybody is trying to be interesting, and they're playing that anxious or that avoidant dance over here. Two different pools that never cross. So when you see guys, every woman out there expects you to be 8 feet tall and have an 18-inch dick, and you have to have 10 billion in the bank. And no, you don't. And you don't have to dance for her amusement and endlessly play games or have dread game or control her. That's only going to work on those insecure women over here. It's never going to work on secure women. They will get up and walk away. You're going to look confusing to them or disinterested, and they're going to track as confusing or disinterested for you. The two dating pools are segregated out completely according to this model. It is wild to see.
So what do you guys think about that? Two different dating pools.
Don't let me go first.
Go ahead.
Better.
Go ahead, bro.
Yo, let me say this, right? Because right now I just started dating my lady, Rolanda. She's in the chats, right? And me and her talk about this all the time. When you be your true, authentic self, and you cool with yourself, and you are you all day, every day. People don't want to meet representatives. We got to get the representatives out the way. When you your true, authentic self, the person either gonna like you or they don't. I'm gonna give you the option. I'm gonna tell you everything about me, so you can have the option if you want to be with me or not. I'm not gonna be anything different than who I am. I am me. I'm a child of God, and I am Quran. This is what you're gonna get. That's what the put on the table part is, who I am, and this is what every little aspect of the areas of that covers a relationship.
What's difficult though today, Quran, is that it's hard to tell by a lot of people if the person that you're meeting early on is the representative or if they're their authentic selves. So how do you go about discerning if you're meeting the representative or if the person in front of you that you're meeting is being hot with you, honest, open, and transparent? Shout out to the Real Precious.
Now, let me tell you what I say to that. In the mix of y'all dating in that beginning process, you know how your job, you know how you start a job and you go through a trial period, probation period at work. They're gonna keep you on when they see your qualifications. In dating, your dialogue is gonna tell me who you are. If you sitting there and we having conversations and you nigga BBB all day, it's a behavior that comes with that. If you don't have no kind of like home training at the table, it's something that comes with that. Every little behavior is gonna show something. You have to pay attention to it, because what we do is we look at what we normally like, the regular, like her breasts, her lips, her butt, her body, but we're not looking at the other things. And this is how you could tell if a person is showing their true, authentic self, because during those first, like that trial period, they're gonna show you. You got to pay attention to it.
You just said the key word that I think a lot of people miss in getting in relationships. Pay attention. A lot of people miss paying attention. What they're paying attention, what they're paying attention to is often some of the things that you should disregard, shouldn't even have so much attention on. You know, they don't pay attention to character. They pay attention to accolades. They pay attention to attributes. They pay attention, as he said, butt, lips, hips, or you know, what money a person got, what job they got. It's funny when I hear somebody describe somebody and the first thing they do is say, well, they got a PhD or well, they got a car, they work for so-and-so. I'm already, that right there is something I pay attention to. And it doesn't have to be if I'm trying to get with them. If I hear them talking in conversation, and that's what that's like the girl who, on the first video who wanted Starbucks. she paying too much attention. I got to get my coffee. I wonder what the conversation prior to them even getting to the gate was. Well, I got to go get my coffee. Like, when you hear things like that, you're prioritizing the wrong things. And that's what I pay attention to personally. And I think more people should definitely pay attention to things like that.
All right. Before we go on, welcome to the panel, R. Payne.
Hello,
Thanks for
hello.
joining us,
Hello,
Hank. How are you
everybody.
guys doing this evening?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what Brother Wade just said about, just a particular situation about people showing their authentic self. I had one of those things when I was courting my wife because she actually said, listen, I'm just trying to put my best foot forward. And I stopped her and said, listen, I don't want to know about your best foot. I want to know about when your feet stink so I can really figure out, that's what I want to know, whether I could live with that or not. So I think you need to almost assume that a person who likes you and who you like, that you might make that mistake of just trying to show them your best self by default. And you might have to have that conversation. Listen, I know you got some warts. I'm not saying just purposely show them, but you got to assume everybody has some warts somewhere, and you got to find out whether you can live with that or not, or if it's something that. So that's how I look at it. That's how I looked at it. So we had that kind of conversation. I had a lot of conversation with my wife when she was my fiance. That kind of carries us to today. So that was a good point you were making.
Thank you. Thank you. What I want to ask you, R. Payne, before we move on to Hank and anyone else who wants to respond back, as far as you guys being real with one another and getting deeper into those conversations, because I'm somebody who I hate small talk. I hate, how was your day? Did you eat today? I mean, I know that's like showing concern, but that's it. Kind of stops there. And it's just like, okay, it was a waste of time for me. So when did you feel like you could be vulnerable with your wife before she was your wife?
Ooh, I haven't thought about that.
I would love to answer that.
Yeah. Because I haven't really, I'm kind of like an open book anyway, so I didn't have any like real big secrets that I had to worry about her knowing about. So whenever she asked me, I was always willing to ask. But when you say vulnerable, you mean what show her? I think I was open with her from the beginning, from the very beginning. I don't think once I met her, because after this woman is different, she's special to me, right? So we just went right, went from 0 to 60 right away. So I didn't have any of those kind of conversations. Maybe I won't tell her this. I won't tell her that. I mean, I was a single man. I didn't have no girlfriends at the time or any of that stuff, and I didn't know.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. I love when y'all just like know what's going on without knowing what's going on. Y'all be on the same wavelength. I love it.
But let me just end with this. I think I was open from the beginning. And I think part of that was that 6 months prior to me meeting her, I had stopped trying to fool with anybody. If it wasn't somebody serious, I didn't even try to smash. I was just moving on. It's what about my business working? That's not it. So when I was like open book when I met her, so my head was clear.
What's funny about that, R. Payne, is that one of the things that I talk about too, that I think guys should do, and it's harder to do in your 20s, but I did it in my 30s. After my divorce, I was out in the streets, so to speak, and when I was having things not happen favorably for me, I decided to take myself off the market, and I went in and a voluntary monk mode, so to speak. When I came out of the monk mode, I started really only giving my energy and time to certain people that I'm not going to say earned it, but it made sense for me to do it instead of low quality, low hanging fruit that was kind of easy. But what mattered and what I started really observing is that instead of doing things to try to get the box, so to speak, I started just being myself, being fully hot with people, and if they rock with me, great. If they chose not to rock with me, I didn't care. At the end of the day, I still felt good about just being myself and not trying to show or be a representative just to achieve some type of short-term goal or to get what I wanted. And the quality of the relationships that I attracted started to improve.
You know, I want to say something real quick, right? I think when we start changing the narrative and the stereotypes of how people perceive men, they already perceive us as men that can't be open and be vulnerable. When we start changing that, it's okay to not be okay. That's what we gotta always understand. We gotta be okay with that. We gonna cry. We gonna have to be okay that we gonna have feelings. And once we start putting that forth before these stereotypes, then you could be okay with being your authentic self. Because once you're your authentic self, you don't have to be. It's easier to remember the truth than it is to remember a lie. So I'd rather just be straightforward, and I'm giving you the option. If you like me, you like me. You don't, you don't. That's the compatibility part.
Yep.
This is what I'm bringing to the table. My table is different from most people's table because I had to unlearn a lot of stuff I learned. All of these common emotions and feelings and stuff that people do, I don't do that. Yeah, I know how to cook. Yep, I know how to clean. Yep, I take care of my son. Yep, I kiss my son on his face. Yep, I do these things. I absolutely do this. So, because I'm not going to be the one saying pause because he says something that people could correlate to some kind of homosexual or some gay thing. Yes, I'm gonna eat a banana. If I ate Frank's, I'll bite the Frank, and I'm not gonna be looking at it like pause. We put these stereotypes on us to where people be looking at us like, oh, you doing that, you doing. I don't follow, I leave.
Man,
like that.
It must be a Brooklyn thing because I feel the same. That pause thing just don't connect with me. I never did. I'm like, yo, why are you playing? I ain't no child. Why y'all playing this stuff? But that's some Harlem stuff, I guess. And I just don't partake in it. But to your point that you was making, and to answer your question, I don't believe in the word vulnerability. I mean, just you're vulnerable only on things you're ashamed of. You try to not be ashamed of things that I do. It is what it is. If I messed up, I messed up. If I didn't, I didn't. I'm just gonna come forward with it, so that I don't have to worry about what you think or how you think or what you feel. It is what it is. So vulnerability to me is part of what we should try and take out of our vocabulary. If we're in the place of wanting to trust or wanting to get in a relationship, we're already stating or implying that we want to trust them. And in order to start trusting, we have to be open.
We perfectly flawed, each and every last one of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just one quick point. When I started dating somebody, it took me a long time. First, I had to get with myself and unlearn a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is programmed in us. Like we literally programmed from the second we come out. But I'm gonna say this: once I had to really unlearn all of these emotions and feelings that everybody make normal. Like it's almost like somebody say all couples argue. No, you don't have to. You don't have to argue. We just have a discussion. It's a discussion. We have a disagreement. We don't have to argue, because if you look up like he said, remove that word. Some words we really have to remove from the narrative, because people take that as there's so many words that people put into a negative sense that we should be doing. Like my wife could use me. Yes, I'm using my wife. She gonna use me. Yes, I need my wife. She need me. Like, you understand what I'm saying? But people will take those words and go, what you mean you're using me? I don't need you. They be looking at the wrong things. The things that we should be applying, we're not.
I agree. I don't know about taking vulnerability out of our vocabularies, because all vulnerable means is to be open, be brave enough to be open. It doesn't mean that you're ashamed of something. It just means that you are at a place where you're ready to be open about it. So it could be, someone passed and it caused you a lot of anger. Instead of saying that you're angry about it, you're acting out in ways where we can clearly see something's wrong. So being vulnerable is saying, hey, because my grandmother or because my father passed away, I'm angry about it, and I'd rather talk it out rather than to again be reactive than proactive. Go ahead, King.
I have a question for R. Payne, as the person who's been with his wife almost as long as I've been alive, and I mean that with all the respect that is due for that. My lady and I got this game right here called Let's Get Deep. We opened it today. We tried it out. It's got 3 different levels to it: icebreaker, deep, and deeper. And it adds various questions that invoke, it's not just like a yes no thing, but you get a response from the person that you're asking. uh what are your thoughts on stuff like this to get to know somebody, and if it's worth investing in something like this? Like, I'm not trying to promote them. They didn't send me this. We literally just tried it today, and we thought it was pretty good cards with some really good questions. But I like to get your
I
take
think
on how
anything
you
that gives you
entertain it.
some, I think anything that gives you, some avenues for discussion, I don't see how it hurts.
Okay.
Could I say something? Because I'm at work. I'm at work, right? And I got to get ready to go in, right? But I want to say something, right? You know how we had school, right? You know how they say it's levels to this shit, whatever. They gave us school levels, grades, right? And as you going from kindergarten all the way up to whenever you get your doctrines or whatever the highest level of learning, this is how I make my correlation to relationships. Because when I'm dating somebody, I'm looking at how they are in math. I'm looking at how they are in science. I'm looking at how they are in English. I'm looking at how they are in physical ed. I'm looking at all the subjects, that classes that they gave us to grow in school and education. Is the same formula I use in the book. I got the report card scale. I look at all those things. I don't mind a woman getting 65. I don't even mind if she get left back, but we don't really want to do summer school and all that. We just don't want to do that. We want to see how we can improve in that area of relationships, whatever area you title it, whether it's social studies, especially social studies. If they got a spiritual class, I want to know where you at in that. I have to grade that. I have to look at those areas, because that's what makes the average come out to where we compatible, if that makes any sense.
I definitely agree. When you go back to school, the next grade is going to test you on the grade that you were in prior to getting to that grade, to see how much you know, to see, at what level, now that we're at a new level, how are we going to assess, your learning style, what you already know, and what we're going to be learning in the future. So I agree. You have to take measures of seeing where people are. Hank, how are you this evening?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Were you able to see that second video that we played about the 2 dating pools?
No, I didn't see that video.
Okay. Before we play it again, Karan, I know you said that you're at work. I did want to get into your book, but I may have to have you come back as like an interview, like a one-on-one with me and you. Would you be okay with that?
Absolutely. I got 16 minutes left. So whatever the 16 minutes is, I could stay on for that much.
Okay. I still may do the one-on-one with you just because of the flow of the show, but let's get we're gonna play this video again so Hank can weigh in on it, because I think we answered it, but I don't think we kind of really went over some of the things that they were actually talking about here.
It is. Think of this. There's from what I have found, there are 2 different dating pools, and they don't flag or signal to each other at all. They have almost no crossover. They're not even aware of each other. There's the secure people who want that direct, human, authentic connection of, we are together, we are talking, we're sharing this bond. They don't want stimulation because it feels weird. Too much stimulation up front feels weird to them. They understand that connection, so they want the right bonding experience. Then there's the insecure pool that everybody is trying to be interesting, and they're playing that anxious or that avoidant dance over here. Two different pools that never cross. So when you see guys, every woman out there expects you to be 8 feet tall and have an 18-inch dick, and you have to have 10 billion in the bank. And no, you don't. And you don't have to dance for her amusement and endlessly play games or have dread game or control her. That's only going to work on those insecure women over here. It's never going to work on secure women. They will get up and walk away. You're going to look confusing to them or disinterested, and they're going to track as confusing or disinterested for you. The two dating pools are segregated out completely according to this model. It is wild to see.
All right, Hank. So what do you think about that? The two dating pools. Are there two dating pools today? People who want connection, who are not really amused by small talk, and then there's people who are anxious and they're trying to be likable, but there's no connection. They're not getting a connection.
Yeah, I believe there is. I
Mhm.
believe there is. But unfortunately, the ones who don't want the connection is probably the ones who may be the right one for you, but they just don't know how to communicate it. They don't know how to talk or say what they need to say and express themselves in the way they need to express themselves.
Mm.
There's a lot of situations like that. Some people just don't want to come out the house. They just rather be a hermit and live in and pray to somebody, the Lord sends them their way. But without works, you get nothing. You got to go out there and work, fight for it. And so if you're not willing to do out there and get out there and grind a little bit, you get what you get. So yeah, I do agree there is two different dating pools. Sound like the haves and the have-nots. So
You ain't say you was going to be preaching tonight. Hey, I didn't get the memo, but since you're here, I'll say amen.
Right on, right on.